I don't know what preconceived notions you have about me, but I am not always good at waiting. It's hard. It was difficult for me at the time of Christmas. There are some really great stories there, and I know I'm not alone in that one, not just at Christmas, but sometimes Christmas shows us gives us these fun stories, including this one that I heard from a friend, which is as a child, she and her brother and her dad went to the store and picked out their mom's gift. And then they came back and they hid it away. And then the mom came home from work and the kids were, we bought you, you know how this goes, we bought you a gift, we're so excited. And the mom started playing around with this and she said, I'm gonna go look for it, I'm gonna hang up my coat, I'm gonna look in the closet, and joking and so forth. And she hangs up her coat and she says, I'm gonna go look for it under my own bed. And the little girl starts laughing. She goes, Mommy, we can't put a microwave under your bed. Whoops. Waiting is hard. Waiting is hard, and I don't think it's just kids. In our scripture this morning from James, we hear about the farmer who waits for the rain. And more than even us around here, I think this farmer is really attuned to the precipitation, because that ancient farmer depends on the rain. He needs the rain because he needs the crops, because those crops will literally feed his family for the rest of the year. He needs the rain at the first to germinate that seed so that it'll grow, and of course, rain over the course of the lifetime of that crop, and not too much at the end so that there can be a good harvest without the dampness of the rain. And of course, in that whole time, right amount of rain, right time, right amounts, the farmer had zero control about how that would all go down. The farmer in arid conditions needs patience more than most, and perhaps a bit of hope and a little bit of luck. But patience for a farmer doesn't mean passively waiting. I'm not a farmer, which is why I get to tell you all these funny stories about me learning about plants. But there is something about watching someone who knows what they're doing and learning that in farming and gardening, there is always something to do. Right? Right. There is a vigilance to it. In my home garden, I plant seeds and young plants, and I am very attentive for the first couple of weeks, and even the couple of weeks prior, what's gonna go where and how big are they gonna get in sun. And then they get in the ground, and the water comes, and they start to grow, and I realize they're gonna grow, and I'm like, that was great, I'll see you in a few months, just let me know. Right? Yeah, I know I'm not alone. I'm really vigilant for the first couple of weeks. And then I'm not very vigilant for a couple of weeks, and then I stop paying attention, and I come back, and I have missed some things. I have missed the signs as to whether or not the plant needs more water because they're withering and dying. Or I think I've learned that lesson, so I gave them a lot of water, and I come back, and it was too much, and now the fruit is tasteless, or there's a mold growing. Or I've missed the early signs of a harmful pest, an insect or a disease that could have been treated had I just realized just 2 weeks prior. I could have saved that plant. Patience isn't taking a nap. Patience takes a lot of work. Patience requires vigilance in farming and sometimes in other areas of life too. We pay attention to our hearts and to our spirits, our bodies, and our relationships. And sometimes that is internal work. And other times that work is to be done in relationship with others. I think it's especially difficult to have patience when we don't know how it's all going to go. The difference in waiting for, say, Christmas and opening gifts is a very different kind of patience from waiting for the garden to grow. because one has a definite timeline, and the other has this hoped-for time range. Waiting in line, say, at a store, feels very, very different from waiting for the results of a medical procedure. When we have a sense of what's going to happen next, like paying for goods that we've already chosen, then I find it to be much easier to convince myself to be patient with the checker or the other store patrons, and that takes some vigilance and work too sometimes. I mean, I'm sure it's not just me that's like, it's when I realized that I got into the lane that was shortest at the moment, but longest over time. Or it can take some real deep spiritual grounding to wait in that long line and to have a smile on my face and be kind to the checker, who is just doing the best they can, and not say something about, I used to do this and did it better, which may or may not be what I have been thinking for 10 minutes. But waiting for a less than certain outcome, something unknown, means adding even more levels of difficulty. And that difficulty is getting our heads to stop spinning, and our hearts to stop racing, and our anxiety from taking over. And it invites us to face all sorts of things in ourselves, like the desire for control. For like the farmer, we really do depend on nature, on God, quite a lot. Be it a row of crops or a body's healthy balance, our lack of control is really built in and baked into this journey called life. And it can be agonizingly hard to accept. And sometimes all we can do is be patient. For waiting is a part of living, even in our instant gratification culture. Sometimes we cannot rush certain processes, which makes me wonder if this waiting has an upside. Are there some things that are worth the wait? Church, are there things that are worth the wait? Seeing some head nods. Perhaps a good bottle of wine, worth the wait? Maybe. Experiencing a child's growth, worth the wait? Yes, I'm hearing a yes. How about waiting for that fresh produce that can only happen once a year and tastes much better coming straight off the vine than it does from a hothouse off-season? Worth the wait? Sometimes growing tomatoes in winter just isn't what we really want, and it is worth that wait to the spring and summer. Today, many of us are in a season of grief, and we need to wait for that next season to come forth. And that waiting requires patience and attending. Our tradition says that we are people that believe in resurrection. And resurrection only happens after a period of time following death. And most of us, if we know the story of Good Friday and Easter, are like, great, death on Friday, I'm good on Sunday. 3 days? Really, it's just like one, but we call it 3 days, and you're ready to go in that next season. But the joy of new life, resurrection, Easter, always follows death and mourning. And so a season of grief may become something else, but not until the timing is right and the grief has been attended. And that is our faith in a nutshell, the hope, the joy of knowing that life will follow death. And life will follow death again. And while we know that new life will come, it will probably not be in our timeline. And it is not under our control. Rather, we wait. And we work towards the outcomes that we seek. And as we do, sometimes we change in the midst of that waiting, even when we do not realize it. No one in this room is getting any younger, so we're all changing somehow. And the world around us is changing. The church changes. If you are someone who ever reads a book, or watches a movie, or listens to a podcast, or catches the news, that's input. And lots of input, hopefully, does not always create the same output. That's another sermon. But let's go with that for a moment. Because change is inevitable, and it frequently happens as we wait. The waiting itself can change us. And time might allow meanings to shift, tempers to hopefully cool, and growth to emerge. Sometimes patience really does lead to new outcomes. And this whole process is intimately bound with the Spirit's involvement, strengthening our resolve to stay patient, to stay vigilant. Sometimes in the waiting, we learn to trust. We learn how to trust that waiting is going to be worth it. We learn how to be patient. And we learn what it is that we need to get us through this waiting. So may we strengthen our resolve to be patient, to be attentive, and to always keep our eye on the end goal of greater justice, greater compassion, greater love for ourselves and for the world around us. We wait knowing that this season will not be forever, but this season needs our attention today. We are vigilant as we ascend towards our greater goals, towards the heart of God. So I wonder what it is that you are waiting for today. For what does your heart wait? What does vigilance look like for you, for us, on this journey together? Whatever is on your heart this morning, know that the Spirit is here, and God is willing to meet you and to meet us as we journey together. Know that you are not alone, and may you find joy and gifts at the end as well as within your waiting. So may it be.